Okay, so this module is going to be based on client negotiation. And what I mean by client negotiation is the sort of midpoint where you've either outreached to this client or the client has outreached to you, and now you're at this stage where you're actually talking, you're in contact, and you want to sort of bring up the topic of price and set your price, and you want to avoid rejection, right? So a few things we're going to talk about is rejection, okay, different kind of clients, and like actually how to introduce the topic and how to raise your prices. So first, I want to talk about this sort of misconception that is run across like both editors and creators. And the second I sort of broke this, I guess, like belief down, the second I sort of realized that this was a mistake and started thinking of it as a complete opposite, I started getting better results, okay? Making more money and just enjoying editing a lot more, because the one thing people seem to overlook is actually enjoying editing in the first place, and instead people start to look at the sort of shortcuts and stuff. Anyways, so people think that, clients are here, right? But then the editors are here, right? In this little, this little black colored in bar chart, right? So this is like the editors and this is the clients. And the reason people think this is purely because the clients are the ones that are paying us, right? Which is very stupid, and I think makes completely no sense whatsoever. I want you to think of it this way. If a client, okay, if a person, not even a client, okay, outside of editing, if somebody got into some legal trouble, right, and they needed to like find a lawyer, hire a lawyer, right? Who's in the like position of power there, right? Is it A, the client, or B, the lawyer? It is the lawyer, right? It is the lawyer. They need the lawyer to get out of this legal trouble, okay? But because there's so many lawyers, these foolish clients seem to believe that the lawyers are not the ones in power. My brother, if it wasn't for lawyers, you would be sued and your life would go to nothing, right? If editing clients thought this, and which they do, if all editors ceased to exist, right? If we didn't exist, okay, they would struggle so hard. Not even like if they just ceased to exist. If they were just taken away from like all of them, okay, let's say no editor could work with a client, okay, it just like that, it stops. The contact, everything stops. So now all these creators are left without any editors. Could you realize how screwed they would be? Half of YouTube would be done. They'd pack it up. The idea of editing completely just it would just be so daunting to them, right? But the quality of their videos would go so far down significantly, okay? So let it be known, okay, ladies and gentlemen, let it be known that clients are here and we are here, right? Whether that can be above, right? We could be here, we could be here, right? It depends what kind of editor you are. It depends what kind of relationship you want to have with your clients. Okay, for me personally, I always tried to up my skill and my price every single time I edited a video. I took every single video as an opportunity for me to better myself and better my portfolio, okay? Because if I edited a video and I looked at my portfolio and I thought that it wasn't portfolio worthy, I would hold serious shame. Like, I would actually have so much shame about the fact that I couldn't improve myself in editing, okay? Because I wanted to be so much like my friends who were getting all this traction, who were getting all this attention by other editors, and I wanted to improve so badly, right? So every single time my video and my skill, like, it just didn't improve and it wasn't portfolio worthy, I would hold shame, right? So I took every single video as an opportunity to get better and to raise my prices. So for me, this is how I looked at it, right? As time went on, I sort of started to adopt that sort of mindset where it was more like this, okay? Equal. Generally, like majority of the time, I had this sort of mentality, okay? The second I stopped realizing it wasn't this, like my mentality just went from this to this, and then I just started having much better results, okay? Without editors, clients would be so screwed, right? Without us, they'd be so screwed, okay? They think that because there's more options out there, then they'll be fine, okay? But those other options could be so much worse, all right? So what I want to talk about is, first off, like when it comes to actual discussion, right? The one thing you want to do, absolute most, is delay the topic of money, of prices. Okay, if a client is inbound, right? I'm going to talk about inbound first for a bit because for me, I think inbound is the best. It's much better than outreach, and well, half the work is already done for me, right? Because they're already coming to me, and obviously they're in a need where they are looking for an editor. And nowadays, like 90-80% of the time, somebody's coming to me because of my past clients, right? So my client list, or B, because of my editing style, which is a lot more attainable and a lot more attractive for clients, right? So I'm going to talk about inbound first. So when a client comes to me, they want to look for an editor, even if I am the person they are coming to, right? I will still delay the topic of money because everyone has this sort of idea that talking about money and wanting money out of somebody is bad, right? It's selfish, it's bad, okay? And like rightfully so, I get it, okay? If I came to an editor because I want them to make good videos and they said, okay, my price is this, I would be under the assumption that, okay, well, this person obviously just cares about money because they just threw their price at me first thing, right? And I see this mistake with a lot of editors, okay? Sometimes there have been times where I went to go and message and reach out to other editors to like, I don't know, talk to them about something. And they would have a bot that says like, oh, welcome to my DMs, this is my price, whatever, this and that. And I think that is so rude. Okay, like I hope this guy has luck when it comes to his career because if you think just throwing your price into an like automated message to all your inbound clients, then you're finished, man. You're actually finished. Okay? Delay the topic about money. Give your clients some time to breathe and to learn a bit more about who you are, like as an editor and what kind of knowledge you hold, right? Because your language and the way you preserve yourself could be, shown in a way where, oh, this guy actually has a lot of knowledge. Like he could be the hidden gem, right? You could be like they are looking for an editor. Inbound clients, they're looking for an editor, right? It's just a matter of how shiny is this gem, right? Is it a rock? Like I could be looking for different kind of rocks. Is it a rock or is it diamond, right? So you leave this time. You leave like the majority of the like. So say the conversation is this long, right? You want to leave. No, let's just draw like this. Let's say it's this long, right? You want to leave about this much of the conversation about conditions, right? Conditions of the video. What are they looking for? What's their channel like? What's their niche like? Okay. How long is the footage, right? What do they look like? What are they looking for? What's the deadline? Hop into a call maybe. If you think if the client is like potentially good for a long term, hop into a call with them because I guarantee that will show like that you actually care about your job and you actually care about making good videos. That's a chance for you to subtly flex your knowledge, right? And show that you're this dream editor for them. Okay? Talk about the conditions first. Show that you care. People like being listened to. Okay? People like being listened to. If I went on a date, for example, with this girl, and I non-stopped just talked about me, how cool my life is, and the fact that I edit for this, that, and that like the other person, right? She would be so bored and she would think it's so rude. If I spent the entire date, however, talking like just letting her talk to me about herself and learning more about her, she's gonna feel listened to. She's gonna like it. Okay? It's the same with clients. You want the client to talk about their content because this is their job, bro. This is their craft. This is what they do for a living. It's how they make their money. Okay? Just just squeeze all that information out of them. Just learn. Okay, let them feel listened to. You're supposed to, as an editor, perceive yourself as an editor as this dream editor, right? An editor that has the skill set of a manager and a producer and an editor all in one. Okay, somebody who's reliable. Okay, show that as you're listening to them throughout their conditions. Okay, then you will leave this final part up to pricing. Okay, this is going to be about your pricing. Okay, because if I said to somebody, all right, if I said to somebody randomly, just like, oh, my price is like 1,000 or 2,000, or if it was like, if I said like my price is like $400 per video, they're gonna say, whoa, what the fuck? Okay, and even so, they might think it's not worth it, right? They might not. They might think, oh, that's not worth it. Okay, you're not worth it. But if I leave all this time, this long conversation, talking about the conditions, right? Maybe getting into the call and proving my worth, okay, showing my knowledge that I could be worth that 400 or whatever I said, like $400 to $1,000, right? Then maybe they'll say yes, or maybe they'll see that I'm very well versed or very well educated when it comes to editing. Okay, I'm very experienced, and it shows. Okay, then maybe they could be this sort of client who wants to pay more because they're seeing that I'm everything they've been looking for. Okay, they don't know you unless you start conversation politely, like with like business deals, right? If somebody wants to make a big business deal, they'll have like this 2 or 3 hour dinner, and they'll spend 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours of it, just talking about themselves, talking about life, right? Having a friendly conversation, and then they'll leave the business towards the end because it gives off this rude impression that you're in it for the money, which you are, okay? But like, just you still don't let it be known. Okay, it's normal, right? You wouldn't say to him, "Oh, I'm gonna work for you for free, bro. You can have all my time. I don't care about my time. I'm gonna work for free." Like, obviously, you wouldn't do that, right? You're trying to get paid, which is fine. It's fine to get paid, but generally, like, it's just basic mannerisms not to sort of throw that out there, right? You talk about the conditions, just learn, talk, like, get to know each other. Maybe I think calls are great. I love jumping on calls with clients. Okay, because I think it's a great opportunity for me to show off my knowledge. I did this when Sharky called me. Sharky gave me his he asked me for my WhatsApp number, or I gave him, like, anyways, we traded WhatsApp numbers. We got on a call, and I think we got into a Discord call later on, and I just told him everything, all the plans, like all the ideas I had for his plan. Like, he was building this series called Football Mastermind, and he was telling me the ideas, and I was like, "Oh, we could do this, we could do that. I could make it look like this, I could make it look like that." We came into the studio. He said, "Danny, I want to see what you've cooked up." Like, he was excited, right? He was ready, okay? And he let me actually like control. He was like, "Danny, what ideas do you have for the questions?" Right? He was asking me stuff that was basically outside of my job, okay? People seem to think, right, when it comes to client negotiation, communication with clients, right? They think that once you bag the client, once they say yes, but once you're ready to work together, then you can just relax, you can just chill. No. The second they say yes to you, the second you start working with the client, is the second you actually have to start working more, right? Your input should not just stop right here once they've said yes, right? Your input should actually be doing so much more, maybe not like that, but like, you should be doing so much more, right? The second they start saying yes, you should be like, "Oh my god." You should be in this sort of state of panic, this panic mode. We're like, "Oh my god, he said yes. Okay, what do I have to do now? Okay, let's do this, let's do that. Let's make this as good as possible," right? You want to impress them. You want to be almost borderline insecure about this person. You want to make this person like you so much that you'll like your output will be so good. You'll really deliver, so that when you're talking about price, or maybe when you're talking about like a price, like when you raise your price, when you say like, "Boss, I'm charging like, let's just get rid of this, right? Let's just say, boss, like at the beginning you charge $400, okay? But thankfully you listen to this video, you listen to this module, and you realize that the second they said yes, your input and your results started skyrocketing because you started working harder, right? So when you said $400 and they saw more out of what they saw in the conditions moment, like, they talk about this, you say $400, they say yes, okay? Now they say yes, and you start working so much harder, and because they've seen that, because they've seen your like work ethic and work rate, they don't want to give that up. So if you say, "Hey boss, I'm raising my prices," and you say something like $1,000, yes, just have my money, yes, and they will say so because the pain of having to lose somebody as precious and as rare as you will pain them more than it will having to pay the money. Okay? The pain of having to let you go and find somebody else in hopes that will be anywhere near as good and as hardworking as you, okay? And have to train them. Or maybe they won't find somebody and they'll have to train that person. That thought, that idea is so much more painful than having to give up an extra $600 per video. Okay? And bear in mind, jumping from 400 to 1,000, it's a drastic jump, and like this is still gonna happen. I started working with a client, one of my first big clients. His name was I'm gonna keep his name out of it actually, but he was paying me like $50, right? I charged him 33, right? And he said screw that, we're gonna pay you $50, right? And that went poorly, right? That went poorly, okay? Eventually I got fired because I didn't have this sort of mentality of work ethic, right? I just waited for payday. But then a few years later, he came back to me. He said, like, "I've been seeing you've been doing really well. I've got a big project for you. Are you down for it?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool, but just letting you know my prices have risen." But he's seen everything that I've done. He's seen my work. He's seen that my work rate's improving. He's seen that the growth that I've gone through. So when I told him my prices are $1,500, right? He said, "No problem." Okay? And this is, bear in mind, he didn't even see my work rate firsthand. It's not like I was working with him and he saw my work rate go up, right? But the fact that I put in that work rate for every other client since him, right? Since I got fired by him, because I was so fearful of getting fired like that, that I put in this effort. So when he said 1,500, he said, deal, done, cool, let's get this done, right? The price, talking about money, wanting to make money is fine. But generally, just amongst people, amongst humans, it just seems very greedy, which is understanding, right? It's understanding. So leave this time. Leave this. This is a very important time. The second somebody DMs you, or you DM somebody and they reply, and you start getting to discussion, delay price as much as possible. If they ask what's your price, if the opening line is what's your price, say what's your conditions, okay? They say, oh, I do this, and then keep asking, right? Get this information out of them, okay? Maybe you'll start to see the conditions and realize this video is not even worth it for me, and you'll turn them down, okay? You'll realize that it's not even worth it for you. But if it will be, then leave it till the very end, all right? Show off your knowledge, show off your skills, right? And not in a in a very like obvious way, where they're like, by the way, look at this like AVD that I got. Oh, by the way, like look how cool my motion graphics are. Oh, by the way, look at the views that I got in this video, right? But just generally like show them that you're worthy with how you preserve yourself, right? I think jumping into calls is the best thing you could do, okay? Because it practices, like, if you don't speak English, you could practice your English. If not, and if you just don't speak English at all and you have to do it through Google Translate, that's also fine, okay? There's still ways of you to show that you're very knowledgeable you're very knowledgeable at your subject, right? Even I can't speak English. You can see me, I'm stuttering all the time, right? You need to show that you're very knowledgeable at your subject, at your profession, right? To the point where you're not just some editor, you're the editor, you're the dream editor, right? Start selling yourself more as the dream editor so that your price, no matter what it is, will be seen as more justifiable. They'll be like, oh, okay, I get that. Had you like you could tell your price, you could say your price is like $150, right? And somebody will say like, nah, that's too much. But if you go through your conditions first, right, and prove that you're worth that, then towards the end they'll be like, oh, I get that. Okay, I get that, meaning like, okay, bit crazy, but I understand, right? This has shown me that I understand. Okay, very very important. Delay it as much as possible. Okay, they like being heard. They like being listened to. Okay, they like knowing that the hands of their work, alright, their work is in the hands of this person. I can trust you with my videos. Okay, don't be like me where I screwed up and my work input just sort of died, at that point. Like, this is the graph, remember? Alright, this is the graph, right? And my work input just died the second they said yes. Alright, your work ethic should actually be more. You should be putting in more work, more of an effort the second you get hired, okay? Because that will not only make your price look cheap as hell, but when you start asking for a price, like to raise your price, they will say yes, okay? And it's okay to have to drop your client if they say no, right? Like I said, I like to client hop a lot, okay? For me, I never really did more than 3 videos for a client, apart from like the ones recently, like my dream clients and stuff, okay? I think between 2021 and early 2023, I never really did more than like 2 videos for a client, okay? Because I was completely fine with just dropping them, asking for a raise, and if they say no, then that's fine, okay? Some people are actually willing to give me a raise after like 1 video, okay? Like, people will give me like they give me more time on a project, they give me more money, okay? Sometimes I still wouldn't be happy with it, obviously, but my goal was to always improve my videos and always improve my raise my prices, like climb the ladder essentially, right? And when you want to actually raise your price, you come to the person, you don't ask them to raise your price, you don't ask them for a raise, you tell, because you're a freelancer, right? You're not contracted, okay? When you're contracted, then you'll ask for a raise, but because you're a freelancer, when you're unhappy with your price, when you're unhappy with your pay, you'll say, hey, by the way, I'm charging these prices now because I'm getting very busy. So if you don't agree with them, that's fine. I'll go find my work somewhere else, right? I'll go find somebody else to work with, okay? The ball is now in their courts and they have to think of what to do. With inbound, okay? It's like this. But with outreach, you are always going to think of this. You're always going to think that you are lower than the client because you're the one looking for work and they're the one paying, right? But generally, with inbound, it will feel like this, right? It'll always feel super good. But again, you can always make it look like you guys are working together, okay? the mastery of negotiation and setting a good deal isn't about who has it over the other, right? It's not about who's getting the best out of this deal. It's not like trying to fluke them into, getting the best out of them. It's about making a deal better than the original, right? Where you both win. Because if my client isn't happy, then he's probably going to fire me. And if I'm not happy, then the client's going to get bad results, okay? You both need to win here. It's a relationship for a reason, right? You guys aren't enemies, you guys aren't fighting, right? And even in this instance, you don't own them, okay? But this is to make you feel like you shouldn't have that sort of fear of rejection, right? Because there's a lot of clients out there who are willing to pay like naff all, willing to pay absolutely nothing, and then you'll get rejected and you'll feel like, oh man, I just lost that client. No, you dodged the bullet, bro. Honestly, okay? Editors just need to feel like they need to stop having this sort of like weird weird belief and look of the world where they are smaller than the creator. But yeah, I think that's generally it for now. But yeah,